I saw an email come through that someone was like, Ruslan, I'm a longtime fan, but I saw that you're going to be at Preston Sprinkles event, and this is extremely concerning considering his LGTV stance. Is his LGTV stance the side B situation?
Ruslan.
Do you agree with Preston on side B LGTV issues? Side B is,
Let's brush up.
I want to say that is the celibate position of LGBT.
Identify as LGBT, but take a traditional view of human sexuality and thus remain celibate.
I don't have a problem with folks who identify as LGTV but are celibate.
I saw an email come through that someone was like, Ruslan, I'm a longtime fan, but I saw that you're going to be at Preston Sprinkles event, and this is extremely concerning considering his LGTV stance. Is his LGTV stance the side B situation that someone can be gay and celibate?
Because there are certain people that feel like you shouldn't even hang the title of gay anything over you. It's like the distinction in the addiction community.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are certain people that will like, I'm always an addict. They will always say, I'm an addict. Hi, my name is Ruslan. I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober for 35 years. Right? There are people that hold that position. Then there are people who are Christians that believe you should not keep saying that over yourself. You should not keep calling yourself an alcoholic. You should not keep calling yourself an addict, especially if God's delivered you from that. And so if at one point you were LGTV attracted and now you are celibate, or perhaps you moved on, you've gotten married, you're in a heterosexual relationship, you should no longer identify as LGTV, even if you're celibate. That's the position. That would be, I mean, that's a lot of people's. If I'm honest, I kind of lean more towards that position.
Yeah.
Right. However,
of like, don't identify as this thing
over your
life.
Don't carry that over your life.
Yeah.
However,
I think it's cool to be the celibate part. I agree with though. It's like, it's not that everyone has to be overcome this massive thing, but I also would say it's like, oh, I don't know about identifying daily over your entire life as gay.
I would probably lean more that way. But the question is, if I disagree with someone on that, I can't be at their conference? This is that guilty by association fallacy. Like, I don't really like the language around that. I have friends, people that I've been relationally friendly with for a while, behind the scenes, people that I've seen just walk through a mess and trying to figure out their faith and their sexuality. And if they were to say, hey, man, I'm side B, and I'm pledging a vow to celibacy. And there's a gentleman I follow on Instagram. They did a whole ceremony where they had like a full-on ceremony. It's almost like a marriage ceremony. And it's like a thing.
The celibacy ceremony?
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm pledging myself to be celibate to the Lord, right? Like I'm not going to fellowship with the dude because he still identifies as side B, LGTV. Like why would I? That's such a stupid thing to break fellowship over, right? I have a young gentleman that I'm currently communicating with, and he's trying to figure it out. And like, if he were to identify as LGTV side B, okay.
I would be curious if the side B people have an
still
emphasis.
Think it's a sin. They think the act is a sin. They think that the state is not a sin.
What I would be curious is if the side B people had an emphasis on the celibacy part or the still identifies as LGTV part. Because I feel like the people that are heterosexual and don't have to do any of this work, you know what I'm saying? When they read the side B thing, they go, Christian who identifies as LGBT, but takes a traditional view of human sexuality, thus remains celibate. The heterosexual person takes an emphasis on the identifies as LGBT, but I wonder if the LGTV people have an emphasis on the, we're side B, we have a traditional view of marriage and remain celibate. It's like arguing over the wrong thing.
It is. And it sucks because these are the same people that are ostracized and really mistreated by the mainline LGTV community.
Yeah, like
so they don't fit in. They don't fit in the Christian world because they're like, look, I'm LGBT attracted. It is what it is. However, I pledge celibacy to the Lord. And so the Christians are like, ew, like you shouldn't even say that about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then the LGTV people are like, ew, you're sexually suppressing yourself.
Yeah.
That's a terrible place to be. So why am I going to create any additional friction to folks that are dealing with that? You want to be side B, side X, side Y, side Jesus? I don't care. Praise God that you're vowing your sexuality to God. That's amazing. Let's celebrate that. So if Preston takes that position, which I think he does,
Again, which I think is an emphasis on the homosexuals with the traditional view of marriage and a vow of celibacy.
Yes.
Like I think that's the emphasis, not the
Right.
oh, you identify.
Right.
Like I bet if you told someone that side B, they'd be like if you said don't call yourself gay.
Yeah.
They would go, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about when I say side B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think that's the I just don't think it's a thing to split hairs over. I think there's just like my buddies who still identify as addicts. I wouldn't call myself an addict. I wouldn't call myself an alcoholic, right? I wouldn't call any of those things. So, I don't know.
Overly optimistic sometimes.
What?
I said we're overly optimistic sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I do think words matter, not
Yeah.
in the whole like words make your worlds thing, but I do think it matters. And yeah, so that's weird. I did see some of that. Like, I can't believe a fairly well-known apologist was like, "Oh, be careful with Preston Sprinkles," and I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, because he's gonna come out as affirming." I was like, "No."
I think he's been in this space long enough.
I think he's been here long enough. He's had these conversations long enough. I'm pretty sure he's not affirming.
It's not like an Andy Stanley situation.
I said, but send me something.
Yeah.
Send me something. I've had him on a channel. We've had hours of conversation of this in our podcast. I don't see anything in the podcast that even slightly points that he's going to come out as affirming. He doesn't say anything as Andy Stanley says. Send me something, and he never sent me anything. And by the way, and I think that person was looking out for me. Like I think that person was genuinely looking out for me and just like, hey, careful.
Yeah.
You know. Cool. I mean, send me something. Like, send me the evidence that this dude is affirming anybody. Like, it's definitely not Andy Stanley. According to the Bible, that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.